In our previous video, we installed Zabbix 7.2 with MySQL, database backend, and Apache web server. In this video, we will do something different. We'll be installing Zabbix 7.2 with Postgres database backend and Nginx web server. So let's begin. Let's first check our date on the machine. Let's confirm that the date and time is actually correct, and I can confirm that everything is in order. I will be installing all of my components on the same machine. You could be installing them on separate machines, but in that case, mind the firewall rules and the access permissions. Let's begin by installing the Zabbix 7.2 repository. After the repository has been installed, let's install the Zabbix components. So here we can see we'll be installing Zabbix server for Postgres, Zabbix web frontend for Postgres, Nginx configuration, and Zabbix SQL scripts package, which will be used to deploy the initial database schema together with the dataset. That is the initial dataset, the list of templates, hosts, users, all the initial configuration that Zabbix comes pre-packaged with. Let's install all of these components. All right, after installing these Zabbix components, let's proceed to installing the Postgres 16 database backend. So first off, I will install the Postgres repository. And from there, I will install Postgres 16 server. Next up, once Postgres has been installed, we need to initialize the initial database cluster. And this can be done via the initdb command. Okay, the initial database cluster has been initialized. Next up, we will edit the access permission file. Let's open it in the text editor. And let's add an entry for socket connections. So over here at the very top, let's add an entry for a local connection for user Zabbix database Zabbix using the Scram SHA-256 encryption. And let's save this entry. This will allow the local Zabbix user to connect to the local database via socket connections. Once again, this would be different if our Zabbix server, frontend, and database were running on separate machines and we would actually be establishing TCP connections over the network. Then the configuration would look a bit different. Now let's see if we can start and enable Postgres. Everything seems to be running in order. Next up, we need to create a Zabbix user. So the following commands can actually be found on our download page. And from now on, everything should be smooth sailing if you're following the download instructions from our download page. So let's use the Postgres user. And with this user, create a database user called Zabbix and give it a password. Next up, we will be creating a Zabbix database and setting the ownership for the Zabbix user. And now we have a Zabbix user and an empty Zabbix database. Now we will be using zcat and importing the archive from the SQL scripts package that was part of our Zabbix install. So we'll be importing the schema and data files into our Zabbix database that we just created. Over here, we can see we are opening the archive from users share Zabbix SQL script Postgres server.sql.jz. and importing it with the Zabbix user into the empty Zabbix database. Let's enter the password for our newly created Zabbix user and just let all of the tables and all of the data be created and populated. This can take a minute or two depending on the speed of your machine. For me, it was quite quick. Next up, we have to open the Zabbix server configuration in etc Zabbix server.conf. And here we have various database parameters. So I've installed everything over here into a Zabbix database, so I won't be changing the DB name. I'm using the default Postgres schema. If you're using a different schema specified here, my DB user is already pre-configured, Zabbix, and now I have to specify my DB password. And it's over here in plain text currently, so it's Zabbix. My username is Zabbix. My password is also Zabbix for this demo. Of course, in real life, please use something more secure. We also have ways where you can store this password in a third-party vault instead of storing it in a plain text file. That's covered in our security courses. But from now on, we will be storing it in the configuration file of the Zabbix server. Let's save the changes. So that's the server side. In case if we're using Nginx web server, we also need to configure it. So there is some minor configuration that needs to be done. We need to open etc nginx conf directory and open the zabbix.conf file. And here, once again, depending on our settings in our environment, we need to specify the server name and the default port, the listen port. I will change port to 80, and I will leave the name as example.com for this demo. But once again, this all depends on your specific environment. Let's save the changes. And I'm going to add a couple of firewall rules. I'm going to add the rule for my Zabbix server and for my front-end connections. And now I'll use firewall cmd reload to apply these changes. And finally, let's start everything up. Let's use systemctl enable and start Zabbix server, Nginx, and PHP FPM. Enable them and start them. We can confirm that everything is running. We can take a look at Zabbix server logs, var log Zabbix server log. And we can see that there are no error messages, no crashes. Over here, I can tail it one more time just to verify. Yep, everything is good. Some errors are to be expected because, for example, we don't have report writer running on a fresh installation. So it gives us an error message about that. But that is the default behavior that is expected. If we want to have scheduled reports, we need to first enable report writers in Zabbix server configuration. So now let's try and move on to our front end. And let's access our front end. Let's see if it's working. All right, so I've opened my front end. Now I need to go through the initial setup. So let's select our language. I will stick with NUS. Let's click next. Here we can see if all of the prerequisites match the requirement. We're using Postgres database. Everything seems to be in order over here. Let's click next. Now we need to provide database credentials. Once again, if you're using non-default schema, non-default port, non-default database name, or a different user, these settings will be different for you. But over here, I'll stick with defaults and just provide my password, Zabbix over here, and click next. Let's select our time zone over here and give our Zabbix server a name. Click next. Confirm that everything is okay in the pre-installation summary. Click finish, and you should be able to log in with username admin and password Zabbix. And of course, if the server is open to external networks, then you want to change the username and password. Well, at least the password for your admin user. Now let's look what we have in our data collection host. So we have our default Zabbix server host, but since we haven't installed the agent connections to it, so its local hosts are not available. So let's switch back to our server and install Zabbix agent as our final task for today. So installing agent should be quite simple. DNF install Zabbix agent. We'll be installing Zabbix agent 2, the next generation agent written in Go. It's a bit more flexible and has a somewhat better feature set than the regular agent. It's a small install from Zabbix repository. Should be installed quite quickly. Now that we have installed it, let's open the agent configuration. And we need to confirm that the server parameter over here, this server parameter gives us a list of servers, Zabbix servers that can retrieve data from this agent. So our server is running on the localhost machine, so everything seems to be in order. Localhost machine can pull this agent. Let's now quit. We need to allow connections to Zabbix agent since it'll be pulled by Zabbix server locally, or maybe even from remote Zabbix environments, who knows. So let's add the firewall rule. Let's reload the firewall. And finally, start the Zabbix agent 2. And we can check the agent logs, verify if it's running, var log Zabbix agent 2 log. Everything seems to be in order, not seeing any error messages. All good. And now let's switch back to our front end, and we should see the ZBX icon next to the Zabbix server host light up in green. And there we go. The ZBX interface is green. We can pull the agent running on the local machine. And this finishes our installation of Zabbix server frontend and database using Postgres and Nginx. And this is all for Zabbix version 7.2. Once again, most of this is covered in our download page with the exception of that initial Postgres deployment and configuration. Don't forget that you can also deploy Timescale on Postgres, but that is a topic for another day. Timescale will provide you with native partitioning and compression features, which can be quite great. And if you're using Postgres, it's a relatively simple upgrade to Timescale. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any more questions or comments, or if you have a topic that you want for us to cover, please let us know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.